Welcome to the Success Fitness Podcast. I am your host, Christian Evans. This podcast is for women and men over 30 who wants to achieve success in their fitness journey. And our special guest today, Geanna Neal, will help us do just that by sharing her story of how she wanted to improve the quality of her life because she felt she wouldn't be alive to see her children, her battle with hypothyroidism, and using food as comfort to deal with anxiety caused her to weigh in at her heaviest of 417 pounds. But by training her mind and being consistent, it helps her to lose 120 pounds. Without further ado, Success Fitness family, please welcome Geanna Neal to the podcast. How you doing today?
I'm okay. Thank you. How are you?
I am good. So before we recorded this podcast, or before I hit record, Geanna let us know that she just finished working out. So what was today's workout?
So today was actually just step. So I do extreme hip hop step. I'm an extreme hip hop step instructor.
Okay.
Today was just kind of like practice, right? Kind of show off the. I get to practice moves and stuff like that when I'm by myself. So just
Yeah, when you get to experiment, yeah, those are fun days too. When you kind of like, I call it like writing the program, it's like, okay, should I put this step here or should I put this step last or whatever? You just interchange. And I think somebody told me at one point in time, it's like, it's not so much that your clientele or, people are dumb, is that they probably won't be able to tell which one you put in front. You know what I mean? Some of them will, some of them won't, because it was said so I can get out of my mind. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, okay, I'm trying to put this here and put this there. It's like, they're just here on autopilot. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
Just have fun. Just have fun. Tell everybody where you're from.
So I'm originally from Chicago.
Okay.
And I currently live in Schaumburg, but yeah, I'm Chicago.
Okay, yeah, Chicago. That's about 2.5, 3 hours away from me. Down here in Peoria, Illinois. So,
nice.
Oh yeah, nothing but a hop, skip, and a jump away. Nothing but a hop, skip, and a jump away. So, what motivated you to start your fitness journey?
I'm gonna. Originally, it was kind of like almost like just random one day. I was experiencing extreme anxiety and having even anxiety attacks. And so one day I just woke up and said that I wanted to do something about it. And so it actually, I was like just scrolling on my phone right in the middle of the night because, of course, the anxiety would hit me the worst. So I wouldn't sleep, and I would use food, right? I would be eating in the middle of the night, right? Scrolling on my phone. And I happened to see this reel by Extreme Hip Hop with Phil. So Phil Wheaton is the creator. So I saw one of his videos and I'm like, dang, it was fun. And I like to dance, right? And so I said, I'm just gonna just try, I'm just gonna just do it. And one day I just signed up for one of the classes and I just did it. And it kind of just took off from there.
It got addictive. So can you define anxiety? And the reason why I'm asking that is because, the older, we get, and the more, we find out it's okay to talk. It's okay to talk about what you're going through. And then there's certain labels for it versus you just thinking that this is just life or this is just the way things are. What is anxiety? How do you define anxiety? Because I'm not saying that I have it or did not have it or deal with it or don't deal with it. I think it's more putting a label on something, you know what I mean? Versus like, hey, my mind's always racing, you know what I mean? Because mine's, always racing. So it's like, is that defined as just brainstorming or is that defined as anxiety?
So I mean, it can be, right? It can be. Definitely, my mind would definitely race, right? I would always kind of feel like I was doomed, right? things are going to go bad, right? Sometimes I would feel dizzy, even like my equilibrium was off.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got you.
Sometimes I would feel like I could feel it in my chest. Sometimes it feels like a ball in your throat,
Hmm.
right? That's some of the physical stuff. But definitely, sometimes I would feel cold. You know what I mean? It was just all types of things where at first I did not know what I was experiencing. I mean, sometimes a really bad anxiety attack can feel like death, right? Sometimes you can feel it in your chest. And it feels like someone's sitting on your chest, almost like pressure. And so at first I was just like, oh, maybe I need to, go to the doctor. There's something wrong. But it turns out that it definitely was anxiety, like just really making me feel like sometimes sick, sometimes back pain. It just kind of went all over the body, so it could come in various type of ways.
Really? Now, how long did you experience this? Well, before you went to the doctor and say, hey, you know what? I need to figure out what's going on. I know something is not right, but I don't know what it is. So I need to seek some help. How long did that go on for you until you sought some help?
Yeah. See, the thing is that I've never been afraid to go to the doctor, right? And the thing is that when I would go right away, and the doctor would tell me what it was, but I didn't believe him was the issue, right? And I'm like, no, I don't have anxiety. I'm good, right? I'm like, no, there's something really wrong, and it was my mind, right? Really just like overthinking and playing, tricks on me to make me think that it was something more, right? But in actuality, I mean, I went right away. So I would say that my anxiety started to really, really, really get bad in 2017 or 18 is when it started to get really bad. Um, and I finally did something about it. So I battled with it for 3 years. In 2020 when I really started to do something about it.
I got you. Now, you may have addressed it earlier, but so pardon me if I'm asking the same question again. What was the origin story as far as like what what caused it? What can you was there a specific moment or was there like a culmination of several different things and factors, or is it just like, hey, it's life, you're growing up and you got to deal with, just life in general? What can you pinpoint if you can, what was like that moment or those moments where it's like, okay, this is where this anxiety started?
That's coming from, yeah. So I really feel like it was a combination of a couple of things. One, me dealing with anxious attachment style or codependency. Codependency is huge, right? It's especially within the Black community. People don't really realize it is, but it is. And so codependency, anxious attachment style, and then also um, finding myself in um, relationships, right, whether it be romantic or not, that were not good for me, right? Manipulators, narcissists, right? That which makes it even worse. And so I think it was a combination of those. Also, um, with me smoking, right? I used to smoke weed like a lot, right? I think also smoking weed made it worse, right? When I was trying to be cool and keep up with everybody and stuff like that. But really, marijuana made my anxiety that much more worse. So I think it was a combination of those three things, right, that really made it unbearable.
I got you. So when you say codependency, I'm ignorant to that term. So for
Okay.
me, can you define what that is? Because I'm learning all types of different words and phrases in regards
Mm-hmm.
to people taking care of themselves a lot more. Whether it's dealing with relationships, everything surrounded by your quality of mental health. So can you help define that for me?
Yeah, definitely. So I think my best definition of codependency would be the addiction of of basically taking care or being attached to people, to other people.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So like the addiction of finding identity within another person, right? Rather than on your own, right? Putting that person's putting that person's needs first, whether it be a romantic partner, a child, a brother or sister, whatever. It's like always kind of um, giving, and not taking care of yourself.
Okay, I got you. And I can identify with that. I've been through that more times now that I'm thinking about it, more times than what I thought it was. Sometimes you just think this is how things go.
Yeah. I'm just,
This is
a
how,
giving person. I have a
yeah,
big heart.
yeah. And then you
But
don't
when you
take a
start
step back and you're like,
right.
hold on. You're like, the math ain't mathing with this person, or why do I feel amped up or, down, depending on what that person does or what they do not do. And once you start realizing somebody else has that power over you, it's like, no,
Right.
you know what I mean? It's not, yeah. And then you respond differently on the times when they do get you down, or you do react, or your reaction to them doing something negative. And it's like, oh man, now it's like, I need a pizza, or I need an entire cake or donut, or I'm drinking, or I'm smoking, or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
What did that look like for you in those down times?
So I noticed that a lot of times, and again, this is why I say codependency was very, very, very closely correlated with that, because a lot of times whenever I didn't have anyone that I could caretake for, right, or that I could do things to try to control them and fix them and maintain their lives, right? My life was in shambles, and so I would turn to things like at first it was weed, then it was cigarettes, then it was food. So I think it was all put together. And then yeah, you know, I would turn to definitely food. I would binge eat, but not in front of people. I would secretly binge eat, usually in the middle of the night, right? When everyone is sleeping or it's the wee hours of the morning, right? And that would help me to cope with the feeling of anxiousness, right? Or the anxious attachment.
Now, what did binge eating look like for you? Because in context, binge eating, let's just say for you, right? Binge eating for you may be binge eating, but that may be a snack for me. You know what I'm saying? So what did that look like? Just give some examples of what did binge eating look like for you?
Yeah. So the thing is that the binge eating was not like severe, right? But it was severe enough to where it was, affecting my health and, my body. But binge eating for me would be probably eating double the portion, right? So as you know, our portions, or the way that portions are in the restaurant and stuff, are big portions. So eating double that, right, is in one sitting, sometimes, or just eating. So I would eat, those little bags of chips, right? But I would eat like 4 to 5 bags of those, right, in one sitting. So it's kind of like um, a mild episode when I would just eat, and then
I
stop,
got you. I
and
got
then
you.
withhold. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
got you. Now, when you were eating, what was going through your mind? And the reason why I'm asking that is because, again, like we were talking about earlier in regards to anxiety,
mm-hmm.
of just thinking, constantly going, constantly going, constantly
Mm-hmm.
going. And I get like that too. I get like that too, to where it's just like, whether it's cookies, chocolate covered almonds or whatever, you just constantly just eating. And when I'm eating, I'm not really conscious of what I'm eating all the time. And I don't really want to dive into I don't want to call it bipolarism. I don't want to say that, but I can't really identify it at that time, where you just blame something else for the reason why you're doing it, right? So meaning like, oh, I'm not conscious of what I'm eating. It's like I'm conscious of it, but my mind is constantly going. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, how is this going to
Mhm.
work out? Am I going to have enough money for this? Is this going to
Mhm.
work out? You know what I mean? This
Mhm.
bill is due today or whatever. And you're just constantly eating. Was that going through your mind, or what were some of the things going through your mind like at the time? And then you look up and, like you said, man, 4 bags of chips is down. You know what I'm saying? Just like that.
That's exactly it. That's
Yeah.
exactly it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I would be up, and I would, you're right, be thinking about, oh, what am I going to do with this bill? What am I going to do about the children? What am I going to do with my business? What am I going to do with my businesses? Right? Am I taking on too much? Oh my God, I hate my job. Oh, you know what I mean? Or it may be dealing with a boyfriend at the time, right? Kind of just like dealing with that and being anxious about what he might be doing, why he ain't in bed, you know what I'm saying, right? Or, why was he on his phone, right? Just constantly obsessing and thinking about every single piece and every single thing. And as like I said, I wouldn't even know, right? Next thing you know, it's 5 bags of chips later, and I'm like, oh, okay, I just did that.
Now, do you think that's part of your just natural personality from the standpoint of being critical, from the standpoint of like making sure all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted? Just overall, just kind of like, if you're a thorough person and going over stuff, all the time, I personally think that can transfer over to personal life, to where you are double checking people. You are double checking people's intent. The reason why, the why of certain things. Like, why does this happen? Why does this happen? Nowadays we got, our phones, we can just, Google, whatever, why is this? Why is that? I got about 80 pages open in my Safari because I'm always Googling just crazy stuff. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, but do you believe that can possibly transfer over? Because you said, you have children and you have businesses, and there's so many T's you got to make sure that's crossed. There's so many I's that you got to make sure that's dotted to make sure things are on point. Do you think that part of that being, a businesswoman and a mother, of just making sure everything is secure, how that can then transfer over and possibly be labeled as anxiety? You think they're running one and the same, or do you think they're two different things?
No, because so it could be, right?
Gotcha.
However, there's a gray area, there's a fine line, because what I realized um was that I had to admit that I was powerless, right, over anything, any circumstance, any bill, any person, anything. And once I could admit that I did not have power over any of these things externally, right, and I began to learn how to meditate, right, when my mind would start doing that. Because again, I was obsessing and thinking about what do I need to be doing? How do I need to be doing it right in order to control, right, situations around me, when really I'm not in control of any of that, right? It's only when I could release control and surrender to not having control and just starting learning to go with the flow is when the mind started to turn off, right? And I'm not saying completely. I won't even say turn off. I will say to turn down, right? But I had to understand and be self-aware. Number one, when I was up in my head doing it, right, and to be able to ground myself and through meditation and things like that, and then too, like I said, submit and give it all. For me, my higher power is God, and start to go with the flow. And once I began to really practice that and to really, really, really commit to that, I began to feel like I can move like water, right? Like, oh, I got an extra bill. Okay, guess what? Just like God gave me the extra bill, God's going to make the resources for me to pay the extra bill, right? It's just, I just, now I can move like that to where, yes, I still um, pay attention to detail because I feel like I am just that type of person. But I can draw that that distinct line between doing what I need to do and using wisdom, and then also letting go and letting God, right? And just going with the flow. Because if you don't, you would find yourself in a situation where you're always like, oh my God, and panic.
Right, because you panic because you're trying to control everything. You're trying to have a grip on everything. And in all reality, like you said, you learn how to, let go and let God and stop
Mm-hmm.
trying to be so much in control.
Mm-hmm.
You find so much peace at that. And then in addition to that, it's weird how it works out. It's like the moment that you let go, the moment that you have more control. You have more control by letting go versus trying to
Mm-hmm.
hold on and be
It's
in control.
crazy.
Yeah, it is. It's a certain type of peace to where you just, like you said, you see a bill, you're like, all right, it's an extra bill. When I come to that bridge, I'll cross it. You know, and you know that yes, the bridge will eventually be here, but I don't know when it'll be. And I think we all get so stressed out of the
Mm-hmm.
anticipation. I think it's the anticipation of the bridge approaching, but it's like you don't know the day, you don't know the hour of when it will happen. But until then, we got so much ground to cover until we get there. Let's focus on what's going on.
Right
Let's
here,
let's
right
focus
now.
on let's focus on what's going on right now. So when
Mm-hmm.
you were going through, let's say like your eating binges, how did your how did your kids take that? How did you think about your children in that moment?
So I felt bad because I knew that uh I knew that I was harming myself, and I knew that it was making it be to where I wasn't being the best mom, right? Because again, in front of my children, right? They're only 4 and 8, but still they know they're very, very, very smart. So in front of my children, right, I would put on a strong face, right? And I would sometimes even see my habits, my binge habits and stuff. I would start to see them develop in my children because uh, you know, me just being okay with us just eating whatever, however, right? Um, and then I began to feel bad because I knew that I could do better myself. And if I do better, my kids will do better too, because I get to set the tone and the narrative for my children, and I can break the curse, but I just felt so I would feel defeated. I would feel low, right? I would be depressed, and I would be critical of myself after a binge eating session. I would just be like, oh my God, why did you do that? All that stuff. But I most of the time I was on a brave face in front of the children. You know what I'm saying?
Right, got to be strong for the kids. Hyperthyroidism. Now you were dealing with, anxiety. You're dealing with trying to be the best example for your children. And in addition to that, hypothyroidism and having to deal with that. Can you define what hypothyroidism is? Because again, I'm ignorant to a lot of things. And what is the root cause of it? Or like how did that affect you overall?
Right. So actually, it's actually called Graves' disease.
Okay.
So it is hereditary, and it does run in my family. It originally started as hyperthyroidism, and hyperthyroidism is actually just it's an autoimmune disease, and it's basically like pretty much everything um, as far as your immune system, as far as your skin, your hair, everything is speed up, right, with hyper. And so sometimes I would have like rapid heartbeat, I would sweat a lot. I was my metabolism was very, very, very fast. I was so fast I was losing muscle mass, right, and getting very small, right. And so when I went to get it treated, I went and got the hyperthyroidism treated with radioactive iodine because I had a mass on my throat. They treated the mass. The mass went away, but sometimes what happens when you treat hyperthyroidism, the body then responds to the medication so well that it becomes underactive, right? And so underactive is hypothyroidism. That causes you to have excessive weight gain. Sometimes you may lose hair. Sometimes you may gain swelling in the body, inflammation. And so I do take a thyroid medication called Synthroid to help keep my thyroid levels normal. But uh, really, what really kind of is starting to really help me, or was really helping me, was the diet and exercise, right? And what I was putting into my body.
Okay, so this is nothing new. This is nothing new in regards to
Oh no, I
what,
got
yeah, what's being said amongst the many people that either I've interviewed or my clients in regards
mm-hmm.
to they have an illness or sickness, and it's like, okay, they've gotten professional help, they've gotten professional help and gotten medication,
Mm-hmm.
and they notice one thing is that when they started to change their intake, they started to change their diet, they become more aware of their intake and become more active. That's when the acceleration of the healing begins. What was that moment for you? You're dealing with the anxiety, being an example for your kids, and realize doing your binge eating spurts is that your kids were watching, and you got up to, what was your heaviest weight that you got up to during that?
Yeah,
During that
yeah,
time?
my heaviest weight was 407.
Okay, 417 pounds. And how tall are you?
I'm 5'9".
Okay, 5'9", at you say 417, and then you realize like, okay, there's a lot going on. I gotta make that change. Can you remember that day, that date, that week of when you're like, okay, I need to change what my intake is? What was that moment for you?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I was looking at the scale, number one. Number two, I was on 4 blood pressure medications. 4. My blood pressure was so out of control that I had to take 4 medications for it to be normal, and with in addition to that, a water pill because I had so much inflammation and swelling in my body. I could not wear a lot of shoes because my feet were so swollen, my ankles were so swollen because of the edema. There was just a ton of inflammation in my body, and I was unhappy. I just was unhappy. I and I just couldn't take it anymore, and I said to myself that I have to do better with um with my body because I looked at my medication and I literally had like 6 or 7 or 8 medications. I was
Yeah, it
starting
was
to
probably just
notice.
too much. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was just
I
too
was starting
much.
to
Yeah.
notice. I'm like every time there's something wrong, right? Because I keep feeding myself this garbage. I noticed that I would take on another ailment, then go to the doctor, and they would throw another medication in.
Right,
Right?
right. It was a crazy cycle. Crazy cycle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
crazy cycle. So what did that diet change look like for you? Was it a diet change first, or was it um being active or being more active in regards to as far as working out? Which one came first, the workouts or the intake?
So the diet change came first. I tried pretty much everything, right? So I originally tried all the fat stuff, right? Which I did Optavia. Optavia does work. It's very expensive, but it does work. So I did Optavia. The very first time, actually, I'm gonna take a step back. The first time I did it, I just kind of did it on my own, where I was
What's
like,
Optavia? What's that? I never heard of that.
yeah, that's okay. Optavia is a weight loss program where
Oh, okay.
they give you food to eat, And then you follow their meal plan, and you eat their food, and then you exercise and water and all that stuff. And so it works, but it's expensive. And so I was like, okay, well, I can't keep doing this. Then I did, just kind of like on my own, where I was like, I'm just gonna do it on my own. I did intermittent fasting, right? And stuff. That also works. But I noticed that I kept going up and down and up and down and up and down, because of, again, me not um, getting a hold of my binge eating, because I would still, right, have those moments of binge eating
Yeah,
even
yeah, yeah,
after
yeah,
I
yeah,
lost weight. You
yeah,
know
yeah,
what I'm
right.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, and so I would do the diet part and then the exercise part, and everyone like, you're doing so great. I'm like, okay, right, but something
Yeah,
is
this
off.
food keeps calling me at night. This food keeps calling
Exactly.
me at night.
Exactly. Somehow I'm still up and I'm still freaking eating, like, cookies and stuff,
Yeah,
right? And so it's only when I started to deal with my mental is when everything else started to kind of click. I had to deal with my mental first. So that means that I had to get in therapy. I had to address my codependency. I went to some meetings, over Eaters Anonymous meetings, right? Because I just had to really be honest with myself and understand that I had a mental relationship with food that was not good. And so I had to change that relationship, starting the mental first. So the mental came first after everything else failed for so long.
I got
this
you.
this last time the mental came first. And then it was
So,
a diet.
so when you dealt with the mental, and you sought out help, and that help you unpack that, how did that make you feel at that time, when it's kind of like that aha moment, like, oh, that's why I was doing that, or this played more of a factor that I buried deep in my mind than either what I thought or wanted to openly admit. What was that like for you? Was there a sense of relief, or did you have like more of, let's say, that light guiding on that dark path, where you're like, okay, now I need to go that way, now I understand now where I need to go?
So I will say, at first it was like, aha. And then it was like, oh, right? It's like, right? So like a combination of that. It was like, I felt real vulnerable, right? It was really scary and ugly. Um, and it was unknown, because I had never, in 34 years of my life at that time, I was 33, 34. I had never addressed food, my relationship with food, and how it tied to childhood trauma and things like that. I had never addressed it in that way,
Yeah,
because I thought I could skip steps.
yeah, because it's like, when that gets addressed, it's kind of one of those things to where, like, I was reading a comment in a comment section about, I think it was like Dame Dash. He was talking about social media, and he was just talking about, being paid or getting paid or not getting paid, more or less. And somebody left a comment, it's like, how can you then bring up, you know what we should do, but, or no, how do you address a problem or articulate the problem, but then don't provide the solution? And I didn't agree with that. It's like, why does it have to be hand in hand? Like, first, like, we got to address the issue, and then it's like, okay, let me process it. So that's what I'm hearing from you. It's like, versus it being like, oh, I heard the news, I found what the problem was, and then I went ahead and fixed it right then and there. No, there's still a process. There's still a process. The other day, my treadmill was acting up, right? Start giving me this screechy sound. And it's like, okay, I need to take this thing apart, and I need to figure out what it is first. Yes, I fixed it, but I first had to process what it is that I needed to fix. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And if I really
Mm-hmm.
wanted to do it, if I had the time to do it, if I have the resources to do it, if I had the tools to do it. So what I'm hearing from you is like, yeah, I got the answer. I got closer to the answer, but it's like, man, let me process this for a second. And that could possibly bring on possibly some additional anxiety, because it's like you said, that vulnerability.
Scary.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
scary. It's
yeah,
scary.
yeah.
I had never, I mean, like to break it down to like ground zero. When I mean ground zero, like uncharted territory, like things that I had buried from in childhood so that I could cope, right? And I could move on with my life and be brave and all that stuff. I had to go all the way back, because if I didn't, then I understood that I would keep running into the same wall, right? It was almost like God was like, okay, but start again. And then I would start again and I would try to skip a step and he'd be like, okay, but start again because it's not it. You got to
Yeah.
start again.
It's like the Groundhog Day movie or something like that. And it's like you keep repeating, you keep messing up, and it's like, man, what step did I miss? It's like you're gonna keep going over it until you figure it out, until you get it. Until you get it. And it's like, oh, okay, I finally got it. It's
Right.
like you can be in the loop. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You can be in
it's
the
like
loop.
now I can realize like, and so one day I was so frustrated and I was just such a dark place. I was just like, okay, okay, so what? Like you right? It was almost like at a frustration, like what is it? Like what is it? Right? And it's only when I was like really, really fed up and really committed to really finding out what my issue is that's when it all started to, it was like a ball of rubber bands and I just started to pull back each layer.
So once you started pulling back each one of those layers and you started adding the fitness routine in, what did that
Mm-hmm.
look like? You said you mentioned earlier about the hip hop fitness routine.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody introduce you to that, or you was just like you were just doing your search,
Mm-hmm.
on your phone, just up at night?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just stumbled on it. I stumbled upon it. Um, I the crazy part about it is that some of the videos, and then I started to videotape it randomly. I didn't know what I was doing. Right? I looked probably stupid, right? Because I'm like doing this new thing, but I think videotaping it was a way for me, or going live on social media was a way for me to be accountable, because um, people would cheer me on, right? Um, and I seen it the other day. I had on some compression stockings, right? And I was like, my stomach looked like I was pregnant, right? And stuff. And I was like, oh my God, I can't even recognize myself. And I
Now
think that's
did
what it started.
now did you have anybody in your, let's say, immediate life or circle that you kind of told about all of this, or say, hey, you know what, I'm getting ready to start my day one? Because that's so brave. When I see people record themselves and go live, I approach my recordings differently, and I'm starting to
Mhm.
see or question. It's like, why is somebody doing that? But then I realize, like, maybe not everybody has somebody in their corner, and I think
Mhm.
that is scary.
Mhm.
That is scary, and I think that's why the positive parts about social media is to make it less scary, to where there's a lot of people who may not be as bold, as brave as you are, to
Mhm.
put your camera on and hit record or go live. I can tell
Mhm.
you right now, I've yet to go live. I think I went live like on Periscope like 10 years ago, when Periscope was around or whatever, for those who may not know what that is. But that was back then.
I
And
know what that
afterwards, I'm like,
is.
yeah, 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 that was old school. That's old school. That's old school. But then I'm like, nah, you know what I mean? But like, everybody's different. And sometimes I'll watch a live or I'll watch a video, and it's like, everybody's why is different. And I think that's what makes it beautiful, because you don't know everybody's story. You don't, you really don't. And I think
Yeah.
that's beautiful. And at the same time, like, somebody to, um, find this boldness into them, into their, their fitness journey, and say, I'm going to share it with the world, and then get people to, cheer them on. True enough, you will have your antagonist, and I think that's what comes to the territory. But you will have more positivity, and at the same time, it's like, I'm doing it for me. I'm doing it for me to hold myself accountable. Mm-hmm. Now, when you were doing that and kept doing that, when did you notice a change in your mental and also your physical? When the weight started dropping, when did you know it? Was it like 10 pounds? Was it 20 pounds? Was it 50? What did that feel like for you?
So I could honestly, I could feel the difference immediately, right? Was because a lot of the swelling and stuff was starting to go down. My clothes were fitting different, right? I could feel it right away. But when I first did it, I just know, like, you're right, like random people were like cheering me on or something, or people would be like, "You're such an inspiration to me," and I'm like, "Who these? I'm still trying to figure it out myself, child. I can't be an inspiration to nobody, okay?" But it was like that they were like really like happy for me, and then like really like saying like, we need to see you every day. So pretty much I was doing it pretty much every day, almost like maybe like 4 or 5 times a week, and people were like, looking for me. And so I was like,
and that's crazy how things flipped around to where it's like now people may have a codependency on you now. You know what I mean? From a motivational standpoint, it doesn't always have to be in a negative connotation all the time. Exactly. Now somebody's like, I need to see this person. I'm like that too. I wake up and I'm walking on the treadmill and I'm going through YouTube videos like, nope, I need to see this person. I need to see that person. You know what I mean? Just, as motivation, so now it's like that transformation of flipping the phrase codependency now to where it works in your favor. Something that was a hindrance is now more of a motivation and inspiration to you. So you do this work, you're changing your life, you're helping change other people's life. What did it look like when you hit the scale and you hit that 100-pound mark, and where you just recently said you lost an additional 20? So from 100 pounds to that additional 20, and where do you want to go from there?
So actually I had, I remember recording a reel. I had recorded a reel, and I was at 300 and I was at 319 or something like that, or 320. And I had on like this tie-dye shirt and these tie-dye chucks, right? And I was just doing my regular workout, and I posted one little clip. This was right at my 100 pounds, and it went viral, right? Like viral. So not only now do I have like these regular people, like regular everyday people looking at me, but now I have 400 something thousand plus views.
Insane. Yeah.
And like these people are like all over the place, and I'm like, okay, wait, what? I'm like, wait, what? Like, so now, I just remember that I could just see myself, and I was looking at the reel, and I was like, I mean, I definitely could see a change in myself, right?
Right.
People probably see a drastic change in me. For some reason, I don't see it. I see it, I feel it, but I don't see it as much. Probably.
Yeah, because that person is still in here, and it probably just took a while for you to come to grips with it, and you may still be dealing with it, right now because of where you want to be. You know what I mean? Where you want to be, where people, they can give a thumbs up and salute you for the work that you've done thus far. It doesn't mean that it's definite, so I totally identify what you're saying.
Yeah, so a lot of times I get met with, well, you look good right now. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. Right. But I still, but I have personal goals, right? And so I do want to get down to like around 225. Again, I'm a tall girl. I'm not meant to be like very small.
Right, right, right.
I'm not meant to be that way. But so when people look at me, they would never think that I weigh 290 pounds still. I'm
Right,
still 290 pounds, right?
right, right.
And so to someone else, they'd be like, what? Or right, or a lot of people are like, don't get too small, right? And things like that. And so
Yeah,
I,
that's I've dealt with that so many times, and it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, can you say anything else other than that? And I don't know. I think I need to talk about that, or me, I need to unpack that because that kind of fires me up. You know, it's either, oh, just stay right there, and it's like, why are you trying to limit my greatness? You know what I'm saying? And you do have to really speak those bold sayings over yourself. You do have to literally rebuke that. Somebody may not consciously know that
right,
it's a form of negativity. And I
right,
personally don't think that it's me overreaching or taking things too personal. But then if I do, it's okay because it's personal because it's me. You know what I mean? It's like I want to get somewhere. I'm not saying that I should articulate my goals, broadcast them off to everybody, you know, but it's like, you know, yes, I look decent, you know, right now we're good in that person's eyes, but I want to get further. But the last thing somebody should say is almost like a backhanded compliment, or, you know, that's
yeah,
how I
well,
take
yeah,
stuff.
because words are powerful. The words
Yeah.
you speak are powerful, right? And if you are on a mission, right, and it is a backhanded comment. It's almost like oh, well, don't get too small, right? It's like, well, but guess what? If me being smaller, me being healthy, then I'm willing to be that, right?
Yeah.
And it's not for you to approve either.
Yeah, and these same people never. I don't really think they even ask or conscious enough to say, "How do you feel? How do you feel?" You know, as long as you feel good in doing what you do, you know what I mean? Because maybe I don't feel good being this big, and I may want to get smaller or whatever definition of smaller is to that person in their eyes. But it's just like, no, I'm trying to get off these meds. You know, doctor said I need 40 more pounds off, you know what I mean? Or I need, you know, 20 more pounds off to make, you know what I'm saying, this surgery I just had on my neck or my throat to really be effective or so it cannot come back. So there's so many things that are going on. There's so many stakes, you know, there's so much at stake more than the other person knows. And true enough, they may not know all of that stuff, but that's why sometimes I try to like kind of back up before I go, you know,
Okay.
yeah, before I go full Kanye, before I go full Kanye, because I just go full Kanye like really, really, really quick.
Right.
What lesson did you learn about yourself when you reached your goal that you can give those who may be on the fence about starting their fitness journey?
Um, Address the mental first. It's all mental. Everything else will fall into place. It's not about um, it's not about you working out insanely in the gym, right? It's not about any of that stuff. It's changing the way that you view and changing your relationship with food and eating, not eating to not living to eat, but eating to live, right? Like literally just like eating things that will add life or add value to your nutrition, right? And and definitely nutrition. It is, right? You could literally go into calorie deficit. You can literally lose weight without picking up a weight. You without going to a gym. If you eat properly and not only eat properly, but eat the right things that help heal your body because the body is so miraculous. God made our bodies, and it's like magic because your body can heal itself. You just have to give it things to aid the healing, right? And so you can do you can lose weight without even having to go to the gym. People see me and they're like, wow, I want to work out with you. And I'm like, oh, okay, but what are we going to do about your diet? It's the diet. It's the relationship with food and the diet. 100, 1000% hands down.
100%. And I'm going to piggyback off of you because the way fitness or weight loss, yes, to be specific, the way weight loss is being portrayed, especially online, as if it's a direct correlation with how much or how intense you work out. If you look at the advertisement for it. And as a personal trainer, I get mad at those who are promoting that because it's like, you know better. You know what it is, and it ain't that. You know, it's not you yelling at somebody to do 20 minutes on the stair climber and 20 burpees. You know good and well. This is coffee kicking in. You know good and well that's not it. You know what I mean? It's exactly what you said. It's nutrition. So stop lying to people. You know what I mean? Because it's like some people may not be able to do, burpees or stair climbers or whatever the case may be, period, or as intense. But what people can do is, fix their nutrition. What people can do is get access to their nutritional intake, how many calories they're supposed to eat. Shameless plug. That's why I created a free ebook about how many calories you should eat, because I always see that. I always see, I need a meal plan. It's like, you need to know how many calories you're supposed to eat.
Yeah.
What are your macros?
You should know your
Yeah. You can put that in all for yourself. You can put that in and you don't have to pay or be dependent on somebody to do that for you. You know what I mean? You have the power. You have the power in your hands. You have the power in your hands. Now, before we let you go, where can people reach you at to join in on your lives? You mentioned earlier about now you are a instructor, a hip hop dance instructor and fitness instructor. Where can they reach you at? Website, or if it's strictly just Instagram? Let everybody know where they can reach you at to join in.
Yeah, so you can reach me at my Instagram is FitGlamBaddie, BADDIE 87 on Instagram. On my Facebook, I have a Facebook page. It's called Worth the Weight, WEIGHT Fitness. You can follow my Facebook, my fitness page there. And then also just my name, Geanna Marie, GeannaMarie, on Facebook as well. And I always posting links and posting, sharing from any of those pages. And then you can follow me from there. And then also links to sign up for class. I also teach class on Zoom, personal training, obviously in person. But you don't even need a step. We can do without a step. Like, there is no excuse. So
she's got it all together for you. She's got it all together for you. And I'm going to have all that information linked in the description. And this brings us to the end of another episode of the Success Fitness Podcast. If you found inspiration in today's podcast and would like to support, then sign up to my weekly newsletter, the Success Fitness Newsletter. You'll get access to my new ebook, How Many Calories Should I Eat? That's what I mentioned earlier. It's a guide with resources within to find your daily caloric intake to ensure success in reaching your fitness goals. You'll also get access to my private Facebook community, Success Fitness Family, and weekly emails when this podcast publishes every Sunday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. The link to sign up to the Success Fitness Newsletter will be in the description. Thank you for listening to the Success Fitness Podcast. Thank you, Geanna, for appearing on the Success Fitness Podcast. And remember this, if it's not making you stronger, simply chant more weight, more weight, more weight. Peace out.